Can we just appreciate how long I have gone without mentioning this at all? Hello everyone, I'm Georgia and this is The Sound of Georgia. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past 2 months, you probably know that on Friday the Hamilton movie gets released on Disney+. So today we're going to talk about it. Just all of it. When I say it, I mean the musical in general, not the film, because we haven't seen it yet. Unless you're watching this from the future, in which case, how awesome is it? Honestly, I did not think this was going to happen. When I first heard that they had filmed the original cast and were going to release it at some point, I thought maybe they would release it in 2020 as a sort of 5th anniversary thing. That's right guys, Hamilton turns 5 this year. I really feel old. A part of me thought maybe they'd release it this year, but another part of me thought, yeah, they might not. And when the news first came out about it coming out next year, I wasn't surprised. But what I mean about I honestly didn't think it would happen is that I honestly didn't think it would be pushed up. I heard that after COVID-19 struck and Broadway got shut down and the world became what it is today, that Lynn was being asked a lot if they could move the movie's release date up. But honestly, I did not think it was going to happen. I still thought it would come next year. And so when I heard the news about it coming this year, 3 days before my birthday, I cried. I started doing a countdown that day. I never do countdowns. I really do think it's wonderful that they weren't just able to, but they wanted to push up the release date. Lynn's plan was to always release it after as many people as possible had seen the show in its original format. But with Broadway shutting down for definitely the foreseeable future, this is the way for as many people to see Hamilton as possible. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I know that even outside of the film coming up, that I am very, very lucky with my situation in this time. And I really do hope you guys are all staying safe and doing as well as you can. Oh my god, I am in love. I was actually a little bit surprised of just how much of Satisfied they put in the first trailer. It would be far from my first choice to put as the background music for a montage. Also, I was a little surprised of just how little there was of my shot. We get a teensy little bit of it in the second trailer, but honestly, I don't know whether my shot made it into the first trailer at all. I've watched that first trailer a lot. I mean, obviously. I've watched them all a lot, but I've watched that one the most. And there's only one tiny little bit that I would say is from my shot. But obviously I haven't seen the show, so for all I know, that bit could actually be from Story of Tonight. The other thing that kind of piqued my interest was just how blue all the scenes seem to be. All the little clips they filmed ages and ages ago, the ones that made it into Hamilton's America and all those other documentaries, they're not nearly as blue as the clips we get in the trailers and I imagine the final show. There's a lot more light. My guess is when they were filming all those pro-shot ones, they left the house lights on. Actually, speaking of all those old clips, you can find about 20 minutes of actual Hamilton footage between clips you can find just online and from the ones in Hamilton's America and all that. I am talking about perfectly legal clips, I am not talking bootlegs. Yeah, you can find about 20 minutes of them. I think I'm going to go back and watch as many of those clips as I can find, just to see how they have been edited and see how different the final movie is. I think that will be very interesting. And then there are those 3 little clips that have been released so far. They're all like a minute long. You've got one of the opening number, you've got one of Room Where It Happens, and the one for Satisfied. I will link all of them as well as the trailers down below. The Satisfied one is definitely my favourite. Anthony Ramos at the beginning is just hilarious. I was watching the clip again right before I started filming and I just couldn't stop laughing. The way he says that first line is just hilarious. He sounds like he spent the entire day screaming and then got completely wasted. A lot more enthusiastic than on the album. We'll be doing a review for the movie in a few weeks and talking about it more in depth after it's come out. I'm also going to try and film a bit of my reactions when I watch the movie for the first time, so you'll get to see me react in real time. There will be tears. I assure you there will be tears. If Sixua's animatic for the final song can make me cry, I am going to be a blubbering mess. So hopefully you'll get to see that firsthand. And honestly, this might sound kind of terrible in a way, but a big part of me is actually more excited for the movie than being able to see it on stage. Honestly, I cannot wait until it comes down under next year. I joined the wait list as soon as the news broke over a year ago, so I have access to the pre-sale and I am so excited. And while seeing a musical at the theatre is an experience that cannot be replicated, the movie has the original cast. Because of how diverse the casting is with Hamilton, every company can look completely different from one another, in a way that most shows don't. There is a reason 99% of the fan art is of the original cast, and I don't think all of it is simply because they're the original cast. If you were to look up fan art for every other stage musical out there, the drawings usually aren't quite so specific in regards to a particular actor, the way that Hamilton is. You look at different companies of, say, Wicked, there is very little difference between them. Hamilton, every company looks completely different. So with just about everything Hamilton related going visually for the original cast, they have become the definitive version in a way that I guess most original companies aren't. There's this book I read, which is totally awesome, you should absolutely read it, and that's very clearly meant to be Eliza on the cover. A lot of the time when I'm reading books, if there's a person on the cover, that's usually who I visualize the character as. It's just the way my brain works. That was not the case this time. It doesn't matter how many times this book tells me Alexander was a redhead. I skim past the descriptions. These are the people I am picturing. Lynn is Alexander Hamilton for me, and he always will be. It doesn't matter who is cast in the Australian production, Lynn will always be Alexander. And that goes for the rest of the company. So that's what I'm most excited about with the film, honestly. But since I mentioned other companies, I may as well just talk about who I want to see in the Australian production. As far as I know, they have already all been cast, but we haven't heard anything about it. We have no news on who's playing who. I really wanted to be able to make an entire video dedicated to just this, but unfortunately I actually know very, very few people of colour theatre actors down here in Australia, so I can't exactly tell you who I want to see for everybody. I can't give you my own fan cast for when the show comes down here, because I can count on one hand the actors who I know by name that could star in this production. I wish I knew of more people, but I just don't. So that's why I can't make a full video about it, so let's just talk about it a bit here. And let's get my most controversial opinion out of the way first. I guess this only really means something for the Australian viewers here, but I don't really want to see Jessica Mauboy. I'll leave a link to a post where I can't remember what group or website or what it was. Kind of like a BuzzFeed thing, but it's not BuzzFeed, but they made a fan cast list for the Australian production ages and ages and ages ago. So I will leave a link to that down below, but they fan cast Jessica Mauboy as Eliza. I'm not surprised that people would want to see her. She definitely seems to be a fan favourite. But, and I want to put this diplomatically, but I don't know whether I can. I don't know if being a contestant on Australian Idol means you can actually act. Now, it's been ages and ages and ages since I saw the Sapphires, and I only saw it once. But from what I do remember, Jessica Mauboy was kind of playing herself, in that she was playing a singer. She was playing a performer. That's very different from playing Eliza. If she is cast and ends up playing Eliza, then she's obviously the best person for the role. And bring it on. I'd be very intrigued in that situation, more than I would be outright cross. But she wouldn't be the first person I would think of. So moving on to people I actually would like to see in the show, I think Patrice Tipocky could be an amazing Angelica. I don't know why, and I probably sound like a complete hypocrite, I have never actually seen her in anything. But I think she could be really good. She played Elphaba back when Wicked first came down here a decade ago. Oh god. So I guess that's the real reason I think she might be really good for the role, because, well, Mandy Gonzalez. If playing this role can get you this role, what's to say that playing this role can't get you this role? And by that I mean more than one actor. Another person I can see in the show is Miranda Tapsell. And by see, I mean I can actually visualise her. That's the biggest way I see her in the show. Like Jessica Mauboy, she was in the Sapphires, and she was also on Love Child. I don't know whether she's done any theatre work, but I can close my eyes and see her in Peggy's dress. So it's weird, everybody I've mentioned I haven't actually seen, but there are two girls I have seen. And that was Chloe Zool and Ashley Pike, who did Legally Blonde when it came down here. I have no idea who I'd want these girls to play, but I'd really like to see them. Because they were really good in Legally Blonde, and they were very sweet. I got to meet them afterwards. But here is the big one. The person I really, really, really want to see when Hamilton comes down under is Jay Lagaya as Washington. So for many of you Australians, you might remember him from Play School. And for the non-Aussies out there, well, he had a bit part in Star Wars Episode 2. He is so perfect. He's so perfect I feel like he's already been cast. I feel like he was the Australian actor destined to play this role. I remember when Legally Blonde came down under, my friend and I knew that Lucy Durack was going to be playing Elle. We knew she would play her. It wasn't a, oh, she would totally work for that role, I wonder whether she's going to be in it. It wasn't even a, she's perfect for that role, she's going to get it. It was, she's playing this role. And she was. I don't know if I'm explaining it well enough, but that is the way I feel about Jay Lagaya as Washington. I think he is so perfect that, to me, he's already been cast. It was a given that he was in this role. I had fan cast him to play Washington when the show came down under, long before it was even announced that the show was coming down under. I really would like to see Patrice and Miranda in the show, but I want to see Jay Lagaya so much more. I really do wish I could cast the entire show for you with Australian actors I want to see in the roles, but I sadly do not know enough of them. I think Todd McKinney could make a really great King George. He played Lord Farquaad when Shrek came down here last year, at the very beginning of this year, I'm not sure, whenever it came down. And he was Teen Angel in Grease. I really think he could do King George very well. And that's everything I've got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Mostly I just wanted to make this video because I hadn't talked about it since the news broke, and to remind you all that if Disney Plus is available in your country, make sure you're ready because the movie comes out on Friday. Where I'm from, on the eastern coast of Australia, it comes out at 5 PM, but I will link an article down below to the time zone it's coming out everywhere, because it all has to line up with midnight in the US. But let me know any thoughts you have on Hamilton, just in any way. How excited are you for the movie? And if you're watching this in the future after the movie has come out, how awesome was it? Who would you like to see act in Hamilton? Whether that's the Australian production or anywhere else. Stay safe, guys. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next week. So long for now.